G'day, Starlo here, down on my local beach again to try something a little bit different. A lot of you who follow my beach fishing stuff will know that I like to fish really light on the beach. I get away with the smallest sinkers that I possibly can, use light gear, always hold my rod and reel and walk with it. And I tend to target that area within about 20 or 30 metres of the beach. I catch a lot of fish there. But I know that there are times when you want to get right out the back, particularly if you're on a fairly flat beach that doesn't drop off all that suddenly. But also there are species that live further out off the beach, particularly things like gummy sharks. Now, I've never caught a gummy shark off the beach, and I've made it a bit of a project this year to see if I can get one. I don't think I'll get one in the middle of the day. Well, it's not really the middle of the day, it's 8:30 in the morning. Oh, and by the way, I'm not barefoot and in shorts like I normally am when I go beach fishing. It is chilly this morning. There's a light sou'wester blowing. The temperature's probably about 12 degrees, but it feels more like about 6 or 7. So I've got the long pants on and I've got some rubber booties on. It's just a bit too cold to go barefoot this morning. But the main reason I wanted to come down was to try something new and exciting that'll help me get my bait well out there. It's a bait delivery system from New Zealand called Dasinka. Gotta love that name. I'll show you how it works in a second, but the whole idea of it is to provide an aerodynamic casting weight that you can shoot out well over the surf break and out the back. Because when you cast a normal rig and you try and get distance, it's the bait flapping around and all the bits and pieces that act like a big parachute that really slow things down and pull your cast up. Well, not with Dasinka. I'll show you how it works. Oh, I apologise for having the sniffles. It is chilly this morning. It's making my nose run. All right, so I've rigged up a whole pilchard here on a pair of snelled or snooted hooks attached to my leader. I've also taken a half hitch around the tail, as I often do, around the tail of the bait, remember, not around the hooks, because if it goes around the hooks it can tighten up on the shank and weaken your leader. Now, normally I'd be throwing that like that and this would be flapping around in the breeze, but not with Dasinka. It's all going to go rather neatly in there. Now, what's going to keep it in there? The magic Dasinka tape. And before you get worried, this is made out of wood pulp and vegetable glue. It's completely biodegradable. It just disappears in the water. They reckon there's enough on that roll to do about 400 baits. Amazing. So what you do is you just peel a bit off. This is all completely new to me, but I watched a couple of YouTube how-tos about it. It's like any roll of sticky tape. Finding the end is always interesting. Right, got it going now. So now what you need is just a few inches of this to wrap around your bait. I've probably gone for too much there, but like I said, we're learning about this together. Pretty important to keep that roll dry. I've got it in a Ziploc bag there. Now this has got a glue on it exactly like you'd find on a stamp or an envelope, so you can actually lick it, completely non-toxic. Just lick one end of it, fasten it onto your Dasinka, take your bait, pop it in there, wrap the tape around it. Oh yeah, I cut way too much. Don't really need this much. What I'm going to do is just lick it there, stick it to itself. You don't really want to go around twice like I have there, but it'll still fall off pretty quickly once it hits the water. The water dissolves it. You can see how aerodynamic that is. Let's see how it casts. It'd help if I picked up the right rod. That one's not rigged yet. This one is. All right, I brought the heavier gear today, much heavier than I normally fish on the beach. but I've got a 3-ounce Dasinka on here. What's that, about 85, 90 grams? It's actually a little bit too much for this rod, but I think it'll handle it all right. I'm going to heave it out there and see if I can get it well out the back. And then I'm actually going to put the rod in a holder, something I hardly ever do on the beach, and rig my light gear up and fish with that. This will be interesting. Okay, here we go, my first cast with Dasinka. I'm going to kick off with a very gentle, relaxed cast to check out how the rod handles this weight. Not bad. Well, that really sailed out there nicely. That was a lot further than I would have been able to cast that as a standard rig. So that works. Let's see if we catch something on it. Check that drag. The rod's in its holder and now the waiting game begins. But not much is happening. I haven't even finished rigging up my other outfit yet, but I noticed that this is drifting to the north a little bit, so I'm actually going to check it and maybe throw it down here a little bit further. It stayed out there pretty well. They make a grapnel sinker version of the Dasinka as well, with those fold-away wire prongs, and I've got a couple of those to try out. I'll bring them along next time, but this seems to be holding up quite well. And the other thing they talk about is how the Dasinka planes up to the surface on the retrieve. It's really cool. It comes up, almost works like a surface popper, and in fact they reckon fish do hit it sometimes. And it looks like it all deployed rather nicely. Oh, that's interesting. The little bit of tape, because I put too much on, there's still some tape on there. But you can see it's already starting to soften right up, and that'll just dissolve completely. There's my bait, and it might have been chewed, it might have been hit by sea lice too. I'll pop it back in there. And I've got another bit of the tape in my pocket. Stick it on. I'm using a bit less this time. Wrap it round, stick it on, and I'm ready for cast number 2. And I'll just walk a little bit south on the beach and throw it out so that as it drifts north, it comes up in front of the rod holder. I'll put the details of the gear that I'm using here in the description and comments down below for those who are interested. Really want to get my long pants wet. This is a different experience for me on the beach. Another fairly gentle one. And out it goes. Certainly casts well, and even though that's nearly twice as much weight as this rod is rated to handle, it's handling it really well. Okay, better get that other rod rigged. I'm going to try a little bit of preserved beach worm, some beach worm that I preserved in a 50-50 mixture of metho and salt water, and then dried it out, froze it in sand. I used them last time and they worked quite well. They've been thawed and refrozen now. We'll see how they go. I'll just pick up the slack that's been generated by the wave action on this heavier outfit. That's better. Alright, this is much more my usual style in the surf and much more my happy place. Nice light outfit, running sinker rig, that preserved worm bait. I'm using one of those Izalus rods, the really affordable light surf rods that I did a big review on quite recently. If you want to have a look at that, I'll put the link up here in the corner and also down below, because I reviewed 3 of these and I was super impressed with them. I'm using the fast tapered light version today. And because this big bait is slowly moving to the north, I'll go on the other side of it and cast. What a glorious day it's turning into after that cold start. Just need a fish now. Certainly didn't go as far as the sinker, but it's in a good area. There's actually quite a bit more swell today than you might think looking at it. There's a bit of residual ground swell here. It is dropping off. Been quite big over the last few days, and there's still a fair bit of it here. It's not too big to fish though. Wow, this lighter rig is washing north quite quickly. I'll have to be careful it doesn't get caught up with this one. It's called longshore drift, the current that you get running along a beach, and it's very, very common. Can make life a bit difficult. Normally I'd be walking with this bait, but I don't want to walk through this line and get tangled up. So what I'll actually do in a second is pull this one in, go a little bit further south and throw it out again, now that I know how quickly it's going to come up here to the north. That one's actually hanging in there quite well, this cast, the sinker. But I probably would have been better off to bring one of the ones with the wire grapples on them. Hopefully I haven't caught that line, although it doesn't feel good. Yeah, I have caught it. Damn. Yeah, that's always going to be an issue when you've got 2 rigs moving at different speeds. It's not too bad though. It's just over it at the moment. Look at that, not even wrapped up. All right, I better pull that other one in and recast it, because I've just dragged it a fair way. So, nice thing is, oh well, so much for keeping the trousers dry. See what I mean about the swell? These simple PVC rod holders are so handy on the beach. I always carry a couple. By the way, if you didn't think that I was casting very far with that desinker, just watch how long it takes me to wind the rig in. It was well out there. Again, the bait's a bit ragged, and I think the sea lice have had a chew on it, but no bites from a fish. I might put a new pilly on. As I said, I'm using a 2-hook rig, which is a real favourite of mine. I put the bottom hook through the tougher head of the bait, making sure the hook's curb or offset has the point angling upwards. Then I wrap the leader around the bait and skewer the top hook through the pilcher to midships. The final step's really important. I form a half hitch or even 2 half hitches around the tail of the bait, making sure they don't go around the hook shank. These hitches will simply cut through and pull out when I hook a fish, but not if they're around the hook. There we go, ready to load into the desinker. Lay the bait in place like this, grab a length of tape, lick the end and apply. Note how I attach the end over the lip of the bait chamber. This keeps it really secure. Then it simply wraps right around the bait before I lick the end and stick the tape to itself. The end product is a neat aerodynamic rig. Oh, by the way, there's a little chamber in here with a sponge insert that you can load up with fish oil if you want to for burley. That's a nice touch. I've got a couple of styrofoam float beads running freely on my leader to lift the bait clear of the sand, but they're not essential. Righto, let's get it out there. Yeah. Each cast I'm punching it a little bit harder and just getting a couple more meters. I'm getting confident with really putting my back into it. And this thing flies. So aerodynamic. Pick up the slack line and get tight to the sinker. Leaving all that loose line washing around in the surf isn't a great idea. Then drop the outfit in the holder. This time I'm going to walk a little bit further to the south before I cast the light one so it doesn't wash straight up through the heavier line. I'm going to walk up that way a little bit. I might just back this drag off a tad so that if I do hook something big, it doesn't drag the whole outfit into the surf. That wouldn't be good. I'll head well down this way to keep the two lines apart this time. But as lovely as the conditions are, someone seems to have forgotten to invite the fish today. It's really quiet, not so much as a bite. Even the seagulls are getting bored. Well, it wasn't to be today, it's just not happening down here. But I'm pretty impressed with this desinker. That is a really good way of getting a bait out the back of the break, being able to cast that bit further. I'm going to stick with it through the winter. I reckon if I'm going to get my gummy shark off the beach, it'll be on this rig. If you're interested in finding out a bit more about these, I'll put a link down below. You can use my link to actually go to an Australian stockist of the New Zealand made desinker. Definitely check them out. If you're into your distance casting, off the beach, the rocks or jetties, worth a go. And they also use them a fair bit in drone fishing apparently, which is interesting. Anyway, that'll do me for this morning. I think it's been a very pleasant day as it warmed up. I'm actually quite hot now. Anyway, until next time, this is Starlo wishing you tight lines and get on to desinker. Check out these other 2 beach fishing episodes too. Cheers for now.